You are most welcome back to the Matchbook Midweek Football Podcast this week. Another midweek slate, gentlemen, joined by Adrian Clarke at the top right of your screen and Mr. Mark O'Haire at the bottom of your screen. If you're joining us now on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter on this beautiful Monday evening, please do get in touch. Let us know what you fancy this week, or if you have a couple of questions for the guys, better yet. Last weekend, guys, mixed bag. 3 wins, 3 losses, 2 voids and 1 postponed. Villa, a nice win. Southampton weren't at all unlucky there. So, yeah, I think we might have used our good luck variance there on that one, gentlemen. Bayern, minus 1.75. Mark, I'll get you on that. That was a terrific one. Your best bet of the weekend. Derby, Bristol, under 2.5. Early goal there, but nothing thereafter. 2 voids. Obviously, we back Coventry. Adrian, you had Coventry against Birmingham City. You get your money back there. 1-1 draw. And same with Arsenal, 0-0 Borefest at the Emirates. Unfortunately, we had losses on Leicester. I don't know what we do with Leicester, guys. We might never preview again if they're involved in again. West Brom and Fulham under 2.5. 4 goals at the Hawthorns. That was probably a good price over 3.5. If anyone did that, the best of luck. Spezia Udinese. I watched that game on Sunday. Penalty for Udinese in the second half, and you know Udinese down to 10 men for the rest of the game. You thought Spezia would have done it, but Mark, focus on the positive. Bayern Munich, terrific win there, 4-1 reversal, and the same score match day 2 at Hoffenheim, with Hoffenheim beating Bayern. Great win for Bayern.
Yeah. I know people were a bit approached it with a bit of trepidation of Bayern Munich the way they've been playing recently, but they're still Bayern Munich, and certainly they had something to prove against Hoffenheim. But it's very rare. I said on the show, it's very rare you get Bayern Munich minus 1.75 at home to almost any opposition outside the big couple of teams in Germany. So I was happy to take that one up against a Hoffenheim team who just don't defend very well at all. So yeah, second half it hacked up quite comfortably, which was nice to see.
And we got a better price there too. That price kind of drifted out to about 1.8, 1.85.
Yeah, there was COVID-related issues in the Bayern camp, so I think that came out on Saturday morning. I think Goretzka was one of the ones to miss out, but
yes,
so it was team news based.
Yeah, Adrian, mixed bag last weekend, mate. 1 or 2 on insights as well. Just not really getting there fully, but a lovely, terrific look on that unders Derby.
Derby Bristol. Yeah, Derby are the 1-0 specialists, aren't they, at the moment? I think that's 3 in a row now for Wayne Rooney. They're just not conceding goals, don't score a lot. So yeah, I was pleased that one came in. Yeah, mixed bag around, but you know these things happen. I think it's one of those that you look back and think, would I have changed that? You know, was I justified in making those selections? And I wouldn't change it. I would have still gone with the same ones. It's just we can't wave a magic wand, can we?
No, that is for sure. Obviously, Premier League fixtures coming out thick and fast the last couple of weeks. What we're going to do today, we're going to look at Tottenham and Chelsea first off, which is the Thursday night kickoff. Aston Villa, West Ham is next up. Leeds, Everton, Manchester United, Southampton. The guys have a couple of EFL selections also, and we'll do midweek best bets as well. Right, let's kick it off. Mark, come to you first for Tottenham and Chelsea. But let's take a look at the betting currently at Matchbook at the time of recording. You can back Spurs there 3.58 at home. Chelsea 2.18. The draw 3.52. Tottenham getting a quarter of a goal start in the Asian handicap, but good odds against their 2.05. And the total is 2.5, slightly shaded towards the unders. And Mark, no surprise, obviously, after that Spurs win that they drifted. They were pretty much, well, Chelsea were actually 2.42 around this time yesterday. Then Spurs, of course, go and lay an egg down south against Brighton. And now they're the price they are. But I'll say this much, and this might be bit too obvious, right? But Tuchel's first 2 games, he gets to play Wolves, he gets to play Burnley. Is there any better warm-up for playing Jose Mourinho's Spurs side right now than playing those 2 sides? Because this is literally what they have to do. The bus is going to be parked, and Chelsea are going to have to break it down. And they did it quite well against Burnley.
Yeah, they did it all right. I'm not going to lay too many praise on Chelsea for beating Burnley the way they did. I don't think they created a catalogue of clear-cut opportunities, and Burnley defended pretty well. But I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because that's the kind of narrative I was taking into this game. And I probably sound like a broken record because we have to preview what seems like these big games every week at the moment. And it kind of follows this very similar pattern, really. And I know the Spurs-Liverpool match was quite wild compared to what we probably expected, particularly from the very first minute last week. But Arsenal-United was a better 0-0 than the scoreline suggested. But it was still another game between 2 Big Six teams which failed to feature a heap of goals and deliver on pre-match hype as well. So we've now had 17 games between the traditional Big Six this season. 11 have gone under 2.5, 5 have ended 0-0, and 6 of those 17 have ended in draws, which is all three well above season-long averages from the Premier League. And I guess you can probably expect that because these 6 teams have got the most money, got the biggest, biggest squads, etc., and they're probably the most well matched in the league. But in terms of Thursday's game, Spurs will obviously be keen and desperate for a reaction, but I'm just struggling to see where it's coming from. A real non-performance against Liverpool, that dreadful display against Brighton, Mourinho picking a 3-4-3 with Moussa Sissoko on a right side, and they just looked directionless going forward, and defensively they looked totally lost positional-wise as well. So I saw a stat actually that Steven Bergwijn's 25-yard effort that went wide after half an hour of that game against Brighton was their first shot in 70 minutes of Premier League football dating back to the Liverpool match. But the thing that's most damning about that is 55 of those 70 minutes they're actually behind. So failing to even have a shot while chasing games is just not very good. And that was the sixth time in the Premier League under Mourinho that they failed to have more than one shot in the first half of a football match, which is dreadful, really. So they've basically gone from scoring early goals and sitting on leads to now not being able to conjure up anything while chasing games. Obviously, the counter-attack's been neutralised and there's no Son-Kane partnership genius anymore either, so there's no plan B. They've taken 9 points from 9 games since topping the table, and without Harry Kane, they've won 3 of the last 13 in the Premier League as well. So the question is Mourinho going to change tact here? And I think the answer is absolutely no. He's going to carry on doing what he thinks is the best way of going forward. He complained his team looked tired against Brighton, but in fact, I thought his team selection had an eye on this game. So he's going to be pragmatic by nature. I can see his team setting up in a must-not-lose attitude. So yeah, you're right. It's going to be down to Chelsea. Can they break them down? And I think playing 2 teams who barely kind of got out of their own half in the first week under Tuchel, Burnley having their first shot in stoppage time, probably is decent practice for them. But I didn't see enough really in those 2 games to suggest that they have got the tools to break down some stubborn defences. So, there was probably some highlights in the fact that Hudson-Odoi and Mao played pretty well, but Timo Werner's still not got a shooting boost. So, yeah, they can cause Spurs problems, but I'm not convinced this is going to be a convincing Chelsea win or even a kind of basketball style match either. So it's again just going down the route of opposing goals in an all Big Six tie really for me. I know that the line has now settled on 2.5. Occasionally we're getting sort of 2.75 on these kind of matches, but I think under 2.5 goals at 1.9 is absolutely fair enough. And I think the draw to me would also appeal at 3.52. I know it's not quite as big as the Spurs win, but I still think there's a little bit of life left in Spurs, even if Chelsea are fair favourites. I just think the price is just a little bit too short for me on Chelsea.
I think we probably know which team is going to have more possession in this game, Adrian Clarke. Possession obviously being very much a buzzword at Stamford Bridge in the last 2 games. But what do you think about this one? I see you nodding your head and agreeing with Mark here on under.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm pretty aligned.
It seems like
Yeah, I'm pretty aligned with everything that Mark said. The 2 bets that I had down were the draw and under 2.5, which is exactly where Mark was heading to. So yeah, we're thinking the same. Spurs 0.38 on the XG at Brighton. That's pathetic, really. It was so powder puff. I do expect a bit of a reaction, but it will be a case of Jose tightening up again. I think he's going to try and make them really, really difficult to beat. I don't think they can go with an attacking or an offensive policy here because apart from Son Heung-min, who is there that's really playing well enough to go out and hurt Chelsea. Chelsea will have a lot of the ball. We know that. I was more impressed maybe than Mark was with them against Burnley. I thought they absolutely controlled it. Even though I thought it was a weird decision to go with wing backs because up against Burnley, it didn't make sense to me. But Hudson-Odoi looked comfortable in that role. Could have set up 3 or 4 goals. Really, it was amazing. So yeah, they'll get better, but they are feeling their way in under Tuchel. I don't think we're going to see a swashbuckling Chelsea for a good few weeks. So yeah, I think Chelsea might nick it 1-0, but this could easily be a 0-0. or 1-1 game in my view. Chelsea just a bit too skinny for me at 2.19 to back against the Spurs team. That okay, they're not playing well, but Chelsea haven't beaten any of the big six this season. Against the traditional heavyweights, they've been average, to say the least. So we're looking for something a little bit better from the Blues. I think we'll probably get it in time, but maybe this game comes too early in the Tuchel regime. So yeah, unders or the draw.
Yeah, we always encourage live comments on our streams, and we got one in for a YouTube viewer at the moment called by the name of Thomas Tuchel. We will destroy Spurs. It's great that he's been in touch. I'm really kind of maybe slightly surprised. He's only been in London a couple of days, but he's already followed the Matchbook betting podcast. You can see the little avatar there if you watch this. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see it. We're probably not going to back them here, Tuchel at 2.18 even at the moment. But we will take the unders. We will guarantee that. I don't think they'll get too many goals. They probably won't concede too many either. What are we thinking? The draw as well, guys. Maybe it's a small play, a 3.52. It might be one, maybe kind of a half unit kind of play. We throw that one in as well.
I think so.
Happy enough? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on. Aston Villa versus West Ham is next on the agenda. Bring up the price, Adrian. I'll come to you there first for this, but let's take a look at the betting currently at Matchbook. We come back to Villains there, 2.22. West Ham at 3.62. The draw available at 3.46. West Ham getting a quarter of a goal start on the Asian handicap, but odds against there 2.02. And the total is 2.75. Been a big drift here, Adrian, on West Ham. Obviously followed their 3-1 loss against Liverpool, but there's no major shame in that. Their form prior to that has been quite good. But what are you making of this one? Obviously, we were very hot on Villa down at St Mary's on Saturday night. That got there in the end. VAR probably helped us out. A small bit lucky, with VAR. But what are you thinking in this, Mark? Is anything kind of standing out for you so far?
I think it's quite a hard game. I think it's quite a hard game. I would lean towards Villa. I think set pieces will be absolutely critical here. These are two of the best teams in the Premier League when it comes to corners and wide free kicks. West Ham rather, have scored the most, 11. Villa with 9. So yeah, keep your eye on that. So defenders maybe in the goals in this particular game. Aston Villa were a bit lucky against the Saints, and they gave up too many chances, I think, to feel really confident about their prospects. But I still really like them. I really like them as a team. Watkins is playing well. Jack Grealish was quiet the other night. I think he'll probably come good again in this particular match. And then their last 3 games at Villa Park have been spread out over a long period of time. Yeah, but they did keep clean sheets, so they've been relatively solid on their own patch this season. And when I look at West Ham, I think, well, what are you going to do about Sebastian Halle? I haven't kept track of it today. I don't know whether they've signed a striker or not, but there is a big reliance on a half fit, really, Mikel Antonio at the moment. It feels to me as if they're waiting for him to produce something, or they'll score from a set piece, West Ham. So I'm not overly confident that they'll be able to go there and really take the fight to Aston Villa, even though they're ahead of them in the league table. I think they'll be quite pragmatic, West Ham United. So look, I think the line is a little bit high. That's my gut instinct here at 2.75. And I think that it's come down from 2.02 earlier to 1.98 for under 2.75 goals. It's obviously been backed a little bit in the last few hours. I just think this will be a relatively evenly matched game with not too much in it. And I don't think West Ham will go gung-ho at all. I think they'll set themselves up to be tough to beat and try and nick a goal from a set piece or a counter via Antonio. That's how I see it. Be interested to hear Mark's thoughts. I would shade with Villa as well at 2.21.
Yeah, but the under seems to be more of your consensus play there. Mark, I know this was kind of one that you probably found the most difficult of all the games we're going to cover here today, but any thoughts on what Adrian had there regards to the unders?
Yeah, nodding in approval. I think it's a really interesting game on paper and one I'd be really interested to watch. But from a betting perspective, it is quite a difficult one to second guess. We've probably got 2 of the biggest success stories since lockdown 1, really, last March. And even this season, expectations pre-season, Villa were 3rd favourites for relegation, West Ham were, expected to be bottom half material at best, really. So both clubs have made really smart investments over the past 12 months. And again, the coaching from both camps needs, massive credit, really, because a lot of individuals have improved. And now you can basically look to a consistent 11 from both teams, which you can pretty much pick blindly now, which is always a really positive when you're looking for a team to pick up results. But one thing I found really impressive when doing the research for this game is these two teams combined have kept 17 Premier League clean sheets in 40 games this season. That's really, really impressive. They've managed to keep the door locked quite considerably for most of those matches. And interestingly too, both teams have scored in all but 3 of their Premier League games this season too. So kind of caught between a rock and a hard place originally, whether both teams to score was an option, too short, and it's probably not something I want to venture towards at all. So now look towards under 3 goals, which is quite short at 1.71. You'd kind of want 1.75 to be put up on this podcast, really, for a bit of respectability. But so that kind of leads me to under 2 3/4, which is trading just shy of even money now. Surprisingly, only 3 of Villa's games, despite being this sort of swashbuckling attacking team, have featured 4 or more goals. It's 6 from 21 West Ham games featuring 4 or more goals, and only 2 of their 10 away from home have gone over 3.5 goals as well. So that's the reasoning behind sort of opposing goals. I just think both defences are reasonably rock solid. There is probably more, well, definitely is more attacking talent on the Villa side of things. But as Adrian says, West Ham are well set up to kind of combat things and try and nick something on the break. But I just found the actual 1x2 and the handicap quite difficult to call because, again, just quite surprised really. Look at West Ham. Since the opening day, their only defeats have come against Liverpool, United, Chelsea and Arsenal. And they've avoided defeat in 7 of 10 away from home. And Villa have actually only won 6 of the last 13 since their really impressive start to the season. I know the schedule's been tough on them too, but I kind of wanted to veer away from those markets and just stick with the unders.
Yeah, and on that, I think West Ham conceded now 5 in the last 2, unlike the run that had happened before. I think sometimes when that happens, it's just a conscientious focus on, right, let's get back to the basics of keeping it nice and solid with that back 4, which I think is brilliant, actually. Creswell, resurgence, Soufal, really good on the right hand side, and Dawson and Ogbonna have played well. I'm glad you brought out that. Yeah, the only teams who lost 2 away: West Ham, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal. So they're a tough nut to crack. So yeah, I think low is where I'm feeling this.
Mark, just on your point there regards the 1.71 shot, we actually pegged Adrian's one, the Derby County one, in at 1.7 last week. So I think probably 1.7 is probably your cutoff. I totally get what you're saying, but I suppose there are probably a lot of people watching this podcast who do put these in ACCAs, and obviously you can do lots of multiples in Matchbook too. So I've absolutely no problem going up to 1.71 there around the 3. Yeah. Adrian, you happy enough with that one as well, mate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's move on the 3 goals. So at Villa Park on Wednesday night. Leeds Everton next up on the agenda. Mark, come to you first for this, but go on, take a look at the betting. First of all, as ever, you can back Leeds United here at home at 2.55, Everton at 2.88. The draw is available at 3.7. You can back Leeds, a draw no bet at 0.0 at Matchbook, just under 1.88, and Everton at 2.05 and 2.75 is the total. The market's moving with Everton here, which I found quite surprising, Mark, especially after a weekend. So recency bias isn't playing into this at all. The vast majority of us wanted 2020 to finish, but I'd say if you're Everton, you really didn't want 2020 to finish. 4 Premier League wins in the month of December, and it did absolutely nothing since. But Mark, just on that market move, are you kind of a bit surprised with that? Or is it maybe the market probably originally overreacted to Leeds win against Leicester and is just kind of bouncing back a bit?
Potentially, it's hard to know. I am surprised it has moved in Everton's favour. I have to be honest about that. And I think performance data-wise, we kind of point towards Leeds being quite an energetic and quite an exciting team to get behind. But maybe Everton's nous is what's kind of separating things here. You've got to give Leeds big credit for the performance on Sunday against Leicester, which I didn't see coming. But they were superb, chalk and cheese, really, compared to what they produced against Newcastle in midweek. When they won without convincing at all. So I thought they were good value. They were lively. They were energetic. They're only 4 points off Spurs with pretty much the same side that played in the Championship last season. So, Marcelo Bielsa getting berated for getting outgunned by the big teams in the Premier League. It's such a nauseous kind of narrative, which is, already been bust, because Leeds are pretty much safe already. What he's achieved there is quite inspirational, actually, and deserves huge credit. But this is a really interesting test against an Everton team whose identity seems to be shifting from month to month at the moment. James back fit and available. And you looked at their starting 11, quite attacking against Newcastle, but they didn't do any damage, really. James was decent enough, but Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison enduring slight dips in form right now, and the midfield makeup doesn't look right to me at all without Allen. Sigurdsson in the deep pivot. It's just all sorts of wrong, really. No surprise he got carded for a stupid tackle, but I think they need Allen back sooner than later, really. And truth is, Newcastle probably deserved to be ahead before their opening goal. They missed a couple of good chances. I know Ancelotti has spoken about his team playing to their strengths, which is being solid in defence and combining the range of passing of James with the sort of aerial attributes of their attack. But Newcastle nullified them very well. I think the issue for me with Everton coming into this game is that midfield, particularly against the Leeds team, who will swarm all over you. I know he changed system to kind of combat their poor defensive numbers early in the season, and then they were outplayed by Leeds in the reverse at Goodison in a 1-0 defeat, which was really good entertainment, actually. But they've since kind of gone into their shells a little bit. But I just look at that team. If they're going to try and pigeonhole James, Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison into the team, puts that midfield under huge pressure without Allen. So I kind of give Leeds a slight edge in terms of the midfield. But apart from that, there's not a huge amount I really want to get behind with Leeds at those prices. I know the Asian handicap there, it's okay at Leeds +0, but it's not really tempting enough because they probably perform slightly better away from Ellen Road. So again, there's going to be a bit of a narrative to this podcast and me, but it'll be opposed goals. The goal line set at 3. You can get under 3 at 1.81. That's where I'm going. 6 of Leeds' 9 at home have gone under 3.5. 8 of Everton's last 9 have gone under 3.5. So, I guess it's not paying into the price too much, but just a word on Everton, really. Their 9 away games, they've actually earned 19 points. Only Man United and Leicester have earned more points away from home than Everton. So that might be built into something while the move is going their way. But for me, there's too many question marks over that midfield against the Leeds team, who will be buzzing after their weekend win against Leicester, where I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah, Adrian, on Everton, I mean, you're losing at home to Newcastle. It just puts a lot of doubts in your mind about this team. And by God, they killed a lot of Akas early on Saturday with that result. But what are you making of this one? Mark is like in the under here at 3.0, 1.81. But what did you make of this one?
I think I understand, actually, the sort of move towards Everton. Now, it's not really based on form, because the form book says Everton have been... Everton have been, not very good going forward for a long time. I had a look at their XG expected goals in recent games. You have to go back to December the 16th when they won at Leicester for the last time they had over 1 on expected goals. So it's been a long old run of mediocre attacking from them. But I feel it can't go on forever. And it's not really based on analysis in terms of Leeds, because they were brilliant against Leicester, but putting back-to-back brilliant performances together is not easy in the Premier League. And I feel that Everton, because of their setbacks recently, because of what happened against Newcastle, I think they'll go with renewed sort of focus. Ancelotti will absolutely have them at it. And I think that they can make life really difficult for Leeds, who are definitely not as good at Ellen Road as they are on their travels. I think, they lost, of course, to Brighton, didn't they, not so long ago at home. Create a lot, but the results don't seem to go their way. Also, Everton are one of the best teams in the Premier League when it comes to corners and wide free kicks, and it's a consistent issue for Leeds United. They can't defend them. And I believe that Everton might be able to strike from a set piece in this game. So my pick was actually Everton 0+0 on the handicap. So no bet. Yeah, it's just the right side of evens, isn't it? 2.05. So yeah, that's where I'm going. I think they're more than capable of getting a result against the Leeds team that might struggle to put 2 strong showings back to back.
Yeah. Let's split the difference. Let's take Everton minus 0.0, 2.05 good odds against there. And I suggest back that now because I think that money for Everton is very real and it may just continue in the next 24 to 48 hours. And obviously we take under 3 goals at 1.81. Also, Leeds home unders. They seem to be kind of a general theme. And unders are a general theme on tonight's broadcast for sure. Let's move on. Manchester United against Southampton. Take a look at the betting here, Adrian, before I come to you first on this. United, you can currently back with that weird home record that they have at 1.53. Southampton is 7.3. The draw available 4.5. You can back Southampton with 1.25 goal start in the Asian handicap at just under 1.86. And 3 is the total, Adrian. Manchester United at home. It ain't a fortress. I mean, look, they lost their last one there to Sheffield United. I suppose we've opposed them plenty of times this season. We've been with them a few times as well. But I wonder, even with Southampton, like they were very unlucky against Villa. And I even go back to that game against Leicester City a couple of weeks ago too. That could have gone a very different way. I know there was a 2-0 scoreline, but they had plenty of chances in that too. And what are you making here this one?
I could argue either way on this. But on the Saints, I think I would delay my bet until kickoff, or not kickoff, until an hour before kickoff when the team news comes out, because there are 1 or 2 injury issues. I think Oriol Romeo is the one that is most likely to make it. And if he makes it and he can fit him in alongside James Ward-Prowse, and maybe bring in Valor at right back, I'm okay with that. And I think that would give Southampton a great shot at the plus 1.25. I have to say that when I first saw the odds on that, that was where my eye was taken. 1.86, I think you said it was. So I think that is good value, because the Saints don't get beaten heavily on the road. The only time they've lost by more than 1 is at Leicester, not that long ago, of course, Filbert Street at King Power Stadium. But yeah, no, Southampton are the sort of team that if they bring their A game, they can cause United problems. They're very good at squeezing and suffocating. When I think of the games where United have struggled at Old Trafford this season, it's when teams have been able to do that and impact the quality into their front players. I just think that without the ball, Southampton are excellent. They, even though results aren't really going their way at the moment, but central midfield is an issue. So yeah, keep your eye on the team news. I was a bit underwhelmed again by United. They didn't really seem to have that much belief at Emirates Stadium. They did create the better chances. Cavani probably should have had a couple, but in general play, I wasn't blown away by their form. Fernandes was very quiet. Rashford, nothing special at all. So they need an upturn from those two for United to win this one handsomely. So yeah, I think I will stick with the Saints plus 1.25. But again, I do think the unders might be a strong play here again, under 3, purely on the basis of Southampton are very, very good at keeping teams at arm's length.
Yeah, and it's interesting because about a half an hour before we did this recording, I looked at this market, and the main goal line was just a flat 1. So the money is coming for United in this one, Mark. What do you think there, Mark? Adrian kind of alluded to another unders bet here, but also the Saints plus 1.25. But where are you lying on this one?
Got the same 2 bets marked down as well. Saints 1.25 and under 3 goals. I think from a Southampton perspective, they're just enduring a bit of regression to the mean. Really, we know they ran hot earlier in the season, and the weekend result and performance was probably just a bit of a bite back of that earlier in the season. Football's such a low-scoring sport. We do have a few freak results and a few unlucky opportunities going for or against teams, and Saints are certainly having that right now. They've now failed to score in 5 of the last 7, but as Adrian says, they're well set up to try and nullify teams and actually keep games competitive. Again, I'd make the point about team news. I think of the players missing or doubts for the game, you've got Romeo, Walker-Peters, Vestergaard, Walcott and Diallo. I think probably 3 of those will definitely be missing, but ideally you get 1 or 2 of the others back fit and available. But from a United perspective, they've now dropped points in 3 of the last 4. Cavani did miss a couple of opportunities against Arsenal, but I didn't think they were anywhere near as good as Arsenal in that game. And the spotlight seems to be going on Bruno Fernandes right now as well. He's failed to assist or score in 4 or 5 games. And if he's having a quiet game, you look to where the inspiration is coming from elsewhere. And
you know what that is, Mark? I put him in my fantasy league team. I finally succumbed, and look what happens, eh?
You say I bet you still have Timo Werner starting as well, Adrian. So.
Yeah, I mean, from a United perspective, Old Trafford results and performances have been hugely erratic all season. They've only beaten Leeds by a margin of 2 goals or more at home in the Premier League this season, and in fact, that was, I think, their only win by 2 goals or more since November in the Premier League, November's international break. So they have been getting results and fine margins themselves. So yeah, admittedly, I think these are two. Well, basically, I looked at the price and I thought United did look short, very short on first glance. And when I went back through, they were the same price they went off at home against Wolves. And I think this game could play out in a very similar vein. United won that match 1-0. So yeah, you look at Saints. Only one of their 9 away games, or the last 9 away games, have been settled by 2 goals or more either way, and that came via a 95th minute counter-attack from Leicester. So they aren't accustomed to getting thrashed or losing by heavy margins. So if it is going to be a defeat for the Saints, it's going to be a narrow one. So, and then the under 3 goals line, just 5 of 19 of their combined home and away games have featured 4 or more goals. 11 of those 19 return profit in the under 3 goal line as well. So I like both angles.
Yeah, Southampton plus 1.25. And just for those who aren't that familiar with Asian handicaps, that will appear on Matchbook at plus 1.0/1.5. So half your bet is on 1.0 and half your bet is on 1.5. So even if the Saints lose by 1 solitary goal, you make a 50% profit with the other 50% of your stake back into your account. Okay, let's do a quick recap before we get into EFL Bets, gentlemen. What have we got so far? We have got bring up the wrong screen there. There you are, guys. We have got Tottenham, the unders there, and the draw. We have Everton minus 0.0, Leeds and Everton under 3.0, Manchester United and Southampton under 3.0, Southampton plus 1.25, and the other game that escapes me, does it come back up the screen, is Villa against West Ham, and that's on 3 goals as well. Unders all over the shop. If you haven't got a Matchbook account and you're looking at these prices and thinking, you're on your sports book and you're thinking, where are these prices? That's because you're on matchbook.com. If you haven't got an account, you can sign up today at matchbook.com. Your first bet could be 10 quid at 2.0 or more. Your next bet could be matched for 10 quid even the next day. So do check that out. Please do gamble responsibly at all times. 18 plus only, and that's for a new account holders. EFL time. Adrian Clarke, take us away. We'll be looking for the lower leagues for a bit of value this midweek.
Just the one for me this time. I found it quite a difficult slate, actually, in terms of the fixtures. It's a funny time of the year, but I'm going to go with the one that I'm the most confident about, and that's Accrington Stanley to beat Bristol Rovers. I think the price is good. It's pretty much even money, 1.99 last time I looked. It's 9th against 19th, but really, Accrington have played 3 or 4 fewer games than most of the team, than everyone else in the division, really. So Accrington Stanley are top 6, and they're at home to Bristol Rovers, who are 19th and winless in 5, 1 win in 8 away games. Not great travellers, Bristol Rovers. They did get that draw that scuppered Mark's double the other day. I remember at Posh, but that's So sorry to bring that one up, but that was not the norm for Bristol Rovers in recent times. Look, Accrington Stanley, they're an attack-minded side. I think they'll see this as a game where they'll be looking to target. They've only lost 2 of 10 home games, and they've only conceded more than 1 goal once on home turf. That's in a lot of games. So they keep things tight and they do score goals. So yeah, I think Accrington will beat Bristol Rovers.
Accrington Stanley. Mark O'Haire, EFL this week, mate. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I got a handful actually. Starting League 2, Salford to beat Colchester with a minus 0.75 handicap. Colchester bang out of form, trending downwards. I know they signed Frank Nubile on transfer deadline day, bringing back to the club, but they're trending downwards. And I think Salford, who have struggled for consistency all season, even after Richie Wellens' appointment, are only going to go one way this season. They had a bit of a surprise defeat against Oldham at the weekend, and they've only won once in the last 6 League 2 games. But they're unbeaten at home all season. They've got such a depth of talent at their disposal as well, and a coach who I really trust to finally get things right at some point. And this should be a good opportunity against a Colchester team who've taken 4 points since mid-December. Their only away win came at Scunthorpe all season when they were totally outplayed, and they've lost all 6 trips to the top 10, conceding 16 goals as well. There are only 2 goals scored in the past 7 league games, actually, but both own goals as well. And they're going away to Salford without their captain, Harry Pell, who's suspended. Their goalkeeper, Dean Gherkin, is a major injury doubt, and their key midfielder, Ben Stevenson, is also an injury doubt as well. So 3 key players possibly without. And then in League One, Shrewsbury take on Crewe. I was quite keen to find some sort of pro-Shrewsbury angle here. They've undergone just a remarkable transformation under Steve Cotterill. They've just had a penchant for beating all the big teams in League One, including Peterborough at the weekend, 2-0. They've won away at the top 3 without conceding under Cotterill as well. Just stunning stuff, really. They've only actually lost 2 games since October in League One, whereas Crewe have only won once since Christmas and seen a few key players depart or had major transfer speculation surround them as well. I do really like Crewe, but away from home, they've only won 3 times since promotion. I know the schedule's been tough, in fairness, but there's a lot to like about Shrewsbury. However, you want to get the draw on side. So instead, I've looked towards the total goals line, and you can get under 2.25 goals at a nice price in that game. None of Shrewsbury's last 8 have featured more than 2 goals. 5 of them have concluded with just a maximum of 1 goal, and they've kept 5 clean sheets in the last 7, putting up some really impressive defensive numbers and some really solid displays. They'll know what Crewe are all about. Cotterill will know that. So I expect them to sit in, make things difficult and tight, and ask Crewe to try and break them down and try and nick a game on set pieces if possible, which has worked pretty well for them recently too. So yeah, opposed goals, you can get under 2 goals at a really nice price, but probably the smarter player to go under 2.25.
Yeah, 2.25. They're available 2.23 mark. You can back under 2.5. Not that I'm telling you to do this, but you can back under 2.5 at 1.94. But you're happy enough with 2.25 to get the plus money?
I'll take did you say 1.94 under 2.5?
Yes, under 2.5.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
Shrewsbury Crewe. Yeah.
That's drifting. Yeah, so that's now a very appealing price. Yeah.
Even better, Adrian. Love getting those unders.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
We absolutely do. We love our unders. There's plenty of them this week. I presume that's it, Mark. We'll go to best bets there, Mark. You don't have anything else there.
Yeah, best bets EFL.
Stay with you, man. Stay with you. Take it away.
Okay. It feels like I'm stealing Adrian's thunder, but I did say it was going to be an under show, really. And it's another under shot. It's Derby. Derby's away game at Rotherham. Big game at the bottom of the Championship. Resurgent Derby, as Adrian has already said, heading in the right direction, built in a very firm defence. They scored the early goal against Bristol City and saw the game out quite comfortably too, but they are the unders kings in the EFL. 22 of 26 games have gone under 2.5 goals. 14 of those 26 would have returned a full profit if you're backing under 2.25, which is what I'm going to do here. Since the end of November, 12 or 13 of their games have featured no more than 2 goals. 9 of their last 11 have ended either 0-0 or 1-0 either way, and they've kept 8 clean sheets in that 11-game spell, which is really quite remarkable, really. Their games, whether at home, away, or overall, are featuring fewer than 1.7 goals per game, and the reverse game against Rotherham ended 1-0, set-piece goal, 4 minutes from time. Settled it. I do like Rotherham this season. I think they're probably better than the league table suggests, but they are just lacking a little bit of quality in both boxes. Conceding a few goals against the division's best teams, but you look at their results and their performances against the bottom half, 7 of 11 have gone under 2.5 goals. So, yeah, I think this might be a very tight game too. So, under 2.25 goals, please.
Yeah, it was a weird one on Saturday when they scored early. I actually still wasn't even that worried about it. I just knew it would come up. It just had that sense. Adrian Clarke, your best bet for this midweek slate, man?
Oh, I'm going to be boring, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's one that we talked about already, and it's just a game that I think will be dull, and that's Spurs Chelsea. I just think it was a horrendous match. The one at Stamford Bridge, if you cast your mind back, it was a goalless draw, and Tuchel's Chelsea, even though it's early days. It's just there's a lot of passing and not that many forward players in form at the moment. And until the likes of Abraham and Giroud and Pulisic and these Ziyech are firing on all cylinders, I don't think they're going to destroy teams. And with Spurs, apart from Son, I just don't know where the goals are going to come from. So yeah, under 2.5, I think it was 1.9.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't unsubscribe from your YouTube channel after that. But I think it wasn't too damning there. We'll give it a couple more weeks. I think that's a good hire, though, I'll be honest. I know a lot of people. I was listening to Harry Redknapp last week and thought, you're like, come on, man, you're his uncle. Oh, who's this Tuchel bloke? I mean, like, he forgets. He said anyone can win a league title in with PSG, which is fair enough. I get all that, but he just automatically forgets about his spell at Mainz and Dortmund and all the good things he did there.
Tuchel's an 8.5 out of 10 manager. Frank Lampard was a 6. They've upgraded.
Yeah.
They've upgraded.
Yeah. Oh, they absolutely have. And time will tell. But that's us done, guys. Thank you so much. As ever, I think we've got a lot of really excited about these EFL bets, believe it or not. A lot of those games are Tuesday. Just be aware that there's a bit of a kind of a mixer of Tuesday, Wednesday, and obviously the Tottenham game on Thursday. We will be back at a later time on Thursday, just to give the guys a bit of time to prep again for the weekend. That's a 5:30 kickoff, again live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter if you're watching us on those channels. And the best of luck with your midweek bets, and we'll be back, as I said, on Thursday. Take care.